What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the episode of The Lawyer You Know. Today, Donna Adelson, as the defendant, started her case in chief. She doesn't have to present evidence. She has no burden, but she called 8 witnesses on day one, and they are not done. They actually broke early today, and I think there is a specific reason the judge allowed them to break early today, because they've been really trying to move this trial along as quickly as possible, and they're actually making really great time. So what type of evidence did Donna Adelson actually present? We're going to go through every single witness, talk about the highlights and some lowlights of their testimony to see, is this going to be enough to poke some holes in the state's argument? And the beginning of the episode, we are going to break down the judgment of acquittal argument that Donna Adelson's lawyers made, specifically focusing on what she knew prior to the crimes being committed versus what she knew after. And even in a light most favorable to the state, they should be dismissed. We'll get to all that and more. And of course, answering all your questions. Let's get to it. Ria Nichelle said today was blah. See, I thought it was interesting. I always think it's interesting when the defense presents a case at all. We see so many cases where there's nothing. Oh, I just realized the candle I blew out. I got wax all over my computer screen. That's probably not great, right? We'll deal with that after. But it's always interesting to me when a defendant actually puts on a case in chief, because they don't have to. Number one, it can go wrong. The jury can look at you and be like, why did you have to present all this evidence? This is weird. It makes me not believe your client even more. It starts to make you think, is this a comparison of the defense only called 4 witnesses and the state called 25 witnesses? The state obviously has way more evidence. You have to be careful about how the jury might balance what you call and what you argue versus what they call and what they argue. But if you can present evidence that pokes holes or combats the state's evidence enough just to make the jury think, I'm not so sure about this, or I'm not so sure about that. And if you can start to break it down, start to create a little reasonable doubt, it can really start to have some compounding effects on how the jury views this case. And if you have a lot of witnesses, it's just how it is, like psychology. If you have a lot of witnesses, a lot of times the jury will be like, wow, they really had a lot of evidence. And we'll see if Donna Adelson gets there today, or at least starts with that today. But before we get to the evidence she actually presented, I want to talk a little bit about the JOA argument and why the defense thinks the judge should dismiss specifically counts 1 and 3, which is the first degree M and the solicitation. Let's take a listen.
Principal instruction requires that in the light most favorable to the state at this stage of the trial, that there is competent evidence that Donna Adelson helped somebody else or other persons commit the crime. Specifically that she intended the crime to occur, and I think we go back to the initial statement I made about intent, but also that she did some act or said something that was intended to, and that did incite, cause, encourage, assist, or advise the other person or persons to actually commit the crime. And for this, I think it's important that we look at how that is defined. And the most recent case on the issue where it was discussed at length is Denise Williams. And the Williams case, the first DCA, focused on what was done the day of. So in this case, it would be July 18th of 2014. And the site for the Williams case is 314 Southern 3rd, 775. It's first DCA from 21. It's our position, Your Honor, that there's no evidence that Donna Adelson did some act or said something that was intended to, and that would incite, cause, encourage, assist, advise, or advise the other person or persons to commit the crime. And as Williams indicated, you have to focus on what Mrs. Adelson did on July 18th of 2014. Williams' decision says proof of conspiracy alone is not enough. And so in the light most favorable to the state, let's go through briefly what the evidence reflects. Danny Markel was killed by Sigfredo Garcia, who was driven to and from the scene by Luis Rivera on July 18th of 2014. Both of them were solicited by Catherine McGowan to drive from South Florida to Tallahassee. Luis Rivera testified that they were hired by the Wendy lady to get her kids back. Luis Rivera testified that he saw that Sigfredo Garcia had a picture of Markel with some writing which he believed to be an address. They made 2 trips to Tallahassee. During both of those trips, according to Mr. Lacoste, Wendy Adelson acted extremely anxious and exhibited odd behavior. At the time of both those trips, Mr. Lacoste was scheduled to be heading out of town, and he drove a vehicle that looked similar to the ones rented by the shooter. There's no evidence that my client ever spoke with Catherine McGowan, Sigfredo Garcia, or Luis Rivera.
Your client did speak, however, with Charles Adelson in a chain of communications I believe the state's wording was the train cars.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm going to get.
So he's like, he starts out with exactly what Donna and Charlie are talking about on these recordings. Like, oh, I don't know Luis Rivera. I never spoke to Katie McBanawa. He starts out with that argument. And the judge is like, if you want to make that argument to the jury, fine. But pretty sure she talked to Charlie Adelson. I'm pretty sure we have evidence of that. And you know the theory of the state is this train car theory. So the fact that there's no direct connection between Sigfredo Garcia and Donna Adelson is not going to get it done for you, sir. And I thought it was kind of funny that the judge said that. Here's another thing I want to just throw up a couple of these. Actually, I'll wait till after the JOA motion to get into that more.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The evidence, the undisputed evidence, is that Charlie Adelson kept stacks of stapled cash in his house. There is no evidence that Donna Adelson did the same. The evidence also reflects that Charlie Adelson had a safe the size of a refrigerator. There's no evidence that Donna Adelson had a similarly large safe. Before Mr. Markel was murdered, Wendy Adelson told Jeff Lacoste that the only way she could leave Tallahassee is if something happened to Mr. Markel. There is no evidence that Donna Adelson was aware of the statement made by Wendy Adelson. And there is no evidence that she also agreed that there was no way that Wendy Adelson could leave Tallahassee unless something happened to Dan Markel. Before Mr. Markel was murdered, Wendy Adelson told Mr. Lacoste that Charlie looked into hiring a hitman in the summer of 2013 after relocation was denied. There is no statement in evidence whatsoever that Donna Adelson was either aware of that, or said or did anything to encourage that or incite that. There's also no evidence that had been admitted that Donna Adelson was aware of the claim, that Charlie Adelson actually looked into that. And additionally, before Mr. Markel was murdered, whenever Charlie was on the phone with his mother, he would walk out of the house to speak with his mother on the phone when Catherine McBanawa was there. After Mr. Markel was murdered, Catherine McBanawa went to Charlie's house. Charlie, according to the evidence, the light most favorable to the state, Charlie told her that his parents had just left. I rewatched her testimony over the weekend. During her testimony, she did not say that Charlie said anything at that point about his parents leaving money at the house.
So he's saying that maybe his parents did leave, maybe they didn't. But even if they did leave Charlie Adelson's house, Catherine McBanawa did not say that Charlie Adelson said, my mom gave me the money to do this, or my mom said this, or my mom's connected to this. So she could have been in his house for any number of reasons, right? Doing any number of things, which again, all these things are really great arguments. I shouldn't say really great arguments. These are arguments that are for a jury. And these are the things that you can make in front of the jury. Shaquille Oatmeal said, I don't know why defense lawyers try to get an acquittal when they know the judge will deny it. Well, it protects the issue for appeal. And you have to make a JOA argument or you waive appellate issues. So that's why you'll always see lawyers making arguments like this. It's not a surprise. They should do it. And frankly, I think it's the best argument he has for a JOA, even though we all know how this argument is going to end.
She testified that she woke up the next morning and Charlie said he had put the money in the trunk. She then left and tried to locate Sigfredo Garcia. She testified that when she got the money back later that day or the following day, the money was stapled together. Her testimony was pretty clear. She said a couple of days later, I'm pretty sure I contacted him and asked him why the money was back. She did not say that she did.
But I'm pretty sure I did is evidence he can view in the light most favorable to the state. So when you admit things like that, when you admit things like, I'm pretty sure I said this, or she said, I'm pretty sure I said this, in a light most favorable to the state, the judge is going to take that as true.
Mr. Markel was murdered. Donna Adelson followed her daughter's instructions and used the last name Adelson for her grandchildren. After Mr. Markel was murdered, Donna Adelson conveyed the message from their family attorney, Weinstein, to Rob Adelson to not talk to the cops. After Mr. Markel was murdered, Donna Adelson wrote checks from Charlie Adelson's business account to Catherine McBanawa at Charlie's instruction. The evidence that has been admitted reflects that that business belonged to Charlie from 2012 to 2020. As this court knows, being a manager of an LLC is not the same as being an owner. After Mr. Markel was murdered and the bump happened, Donna Adelson begged the undercover to go to the cops and tell them what he knew. After Mr. Markel was murdered, Charlie kept up the lie that he told Donna Adelson when discussing the arrests of Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera. Now, the only way, it is our position, the only way that the state overcomes counts 1 and 3 is by improper stacking of evidences. So they have evidence that Donna Adelson allegedly hated Mr. Markel. The evidence is that Donna Adelson didn't like how Dan Markel treated Wendy. The evidence reflects that from 2012 to 2013, according to the emails from Donna Adelson, a non-negotiable was relocation. However, after July 31st of 2013, there has been no evidence admitted in this trial that Donna Adelson said or did anything to convey the message that she would do anything for Wendy and the children to move to South Florida. There's no mention.
As to the argument about inferences, however.
Yeah, the judge is like, well, what about inferences? And there's really no statement that Charlie Adelson wanted to do something to Dan Markel, right? If you want to say his joke that it's cheaper to hire a hitman or he got her a hitman for Charlie Adelson never admitted and said, like, I did this to Dan Markel. You don't have to have that kind of evidence, right? So I get what he's arguing. I like the argument. I think it's about as good as you can do, but you can understand where the judge is positioned at this point. It's not even close. No judge would acquit Donna based on these arguments. That being said, again, I think it's about as good as he can do. Alan said, I'm stuck at more likely than not. I failed to notice any direct and or circumstantial evidence showing me clearly that Donna had foreknowledge in advance of the hit on 7/18/14. So basically he's saying, I don't think she knew before, partook in it, knew what was going on, wanted to, helped it, and furthered that action for that crime. So some of the really big evidence does come after July 18th, and it's okay that it comes before July 18th to prove what she knew or did before July 18th. And we haven't gotten to that part of the argument yet, but we are going to get there, as some things that happened after the fact can absolutely point to you what she knew and did before the fact. Doesn't mean you have to believe it. And that's the big thing that comes with all this is what facts are the jury going to believe? What are they not? What are they going to make reasonable inferences from the evidence? And the defense lawyer is about to argue they can't make inferences upon inferences or inference stack, meaning I infer this, therefore I'm going to make this inference and then this inference. And now we're so far away from the actual evidence that that's no good. That's the argument he's going to make. The judge is not going to buy it. But again, I think this is all he really had to argue here.
Inferences plus a confession, and you're saying the state does not met the burden?
Plus a confession, he says. So that was a big point, okay? And these are things we're starting to get into now, Alan, exactly what I was just saying to you. The things that happened July 18th that tell us about what she knew before July 18th. And again, you have to take this as true. It doesn't mean the jury's going to take it as true, but basically her attempt to flee, her confession to the jailhouse snitches, informants, whatever you want to call them, golly, it's so annoying. These things, John told me he's going to tell me how to get those off the screen, but I kind of think they're funny. And number 3, her trying to tell these people to come and take the stand and lie for her. Yeah, exactly. Mel, where's the confession? So that's the point is, I'm not saying you have to take it as a confession, but I believe it was Miss Bird, the person that was in jail with Donna Adelson, that yes, I was in on it. I did what they were accusing me of, but it wasn't supposed to go that far. Okay. That is what the judge is calling a confession. The jury doesn't have to see it as a confession. The state argued in Karen Reed's case, they had a confession, right? So words to that effect, the judge is taking as a confession, as he absolutely legally can, because right now we're supposed to look at all the evidence the state presented as true and accurate. Peter, why is she fleeing if there was not a warrant out for her arrest? Okay. I see that people want to have some discussion points, and we can. But right now, when we're looking at the light most favorable to the state said she fled. They have emails and text messages and conversations and non-extradition searches and emergency passports, and then making certain actions before they left to where it is absolutely plausible that the state has presented evidence that she is going to flee. That does not mean a jury has to buy it. That is the difference. Okay. So why is she fleeing? The state has presented more than enough evidence to get past the judgment of acquittal. And we have to make sure that we understand why we're here. This is not, the judge is not condemning Donna Adelson saying she's guilty right now. That is not his position. Okay.
Judge, I'm getting to that.
Please do.
There's no evidence that she solicited anyone to murder Markel aside from these assumptions. The emails, the text messages, the testimony. No one has said that my client solicited anybody to commit murder. The evidence reflects that Donna Adelson vented to Charlie Adelson about how Markel treated Wendy. But as I said, there's no evidence aside from assumption that she went a step further. The state has submitted the July 17th, 2013 email to her parents' shared account, and one of her parents responded, "Wow." The evidence also reflects that had it been Donna Adelson that responded, all the other email correspondence that's been admitted reflects that she would have sent something much longer. But even if she did know it, the motion itself, and I would ask the court to take a look at the prayer for relief in that grandmother motion, it was not to prevent Donna Adelson from spending time with the boys. It was to spend, unsupervised, it was to prevent her from spending time with the boys in contravention of the right of first refusal, not to prohibit any unsupervised contact. So even if the court were to find that in the light most favorable to the state that my client was aware that the grandmother motion was filed, the relief that the state believes was sought is not what was sought in the motion. As to the alleged confession, Your Honor, what the confession, as I heard it, was that she wrote the checks. She paid the money after.
I think we'll get the court reporter to read it if need be, but go ahead, please. But
That's the judge saying, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you, sir, that that's how the testimony came out. I like this judge. He's funny. And he's pointing out, he's like, okay, but you're totally ignoring this for where we are right now. And again, I don't blame this lawyer for making this argument. I think it was a good argument, as good as he could have done. But it's really funny where the judge is like, yeah, but this definitely came out. And if I have to take it as true, you're not going to win this argument.
What she did after the murder is not evidence of her intent prior to the murder. And that's what Williams talks about. What evidence is there in the light most favorable to the state that prior to the murder, Mrs. Adelson did something? I think that if we were before the court on a different charge and the statute of limitations had not expired on it, that the situation might be different. But we're here for principle to first degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. Venting about how somebody is treating their daughter is not the same as asking somebody to have them killed. The evidence reflects that. I know that the state's argument or belief is that the birthday gift is a murder. The birthday gift, the evidence reflects, was the party and the caterer. You have to make an inference, top of another inference.
Well, but it's not, and again, it's not an inference on an inference because Katie Magbanawa said they speak in code and multiple different ways. They were speaking in code with each other. So again, that is an inference that this was code, but it's not inference stacking in my opinion. Right. And we have to look at it and remember exactly how the evidence came out. Again, I respect the argument. I respect the hustle. I think this was a good argument for JOA. I'm just kind of explaining to you because some people are saying things like Cheryl said, why are we taking the word of a jailhouse snitch seriously? So here's what I'll tell you. When we talk about that, I thought his cross was really good. I do not think their evidence was incredibly strong, but that's for the jury. When we're talking about the judge, the way the evidence came in, he has to believe the jailhouse snitch. When he is determining this JOA argument, he has to take what the jailhouse snitch as true, what they said as true. Doesn't mean it is.
Birthday gift was murder. So focusing on what evidence exists as to my client's statements and actions prior to the murder actually happened. According to Williams, judgment of acquittal is appropriate on count one.
Concerning Williams specifically, was there evidence of consciousness of guilt admitted against the defendant in the same way it's admitted in this trial?
And so he's saying, well, what about consciousness of guilt? So these are things that happened way after the crime occurred that point back to someone's consciousness and admitting what they know and did, right? That can be the jailhouse snitch, confession. That can be fleeing. That can be asking witnesses to lie on the stand. There's all sorts of things the state in this case has argued are consciousness of guilt. So that's important.
Williams?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
So in addition to any circumstantial evidence and inference, we also have in this record the defendant allegedly making a confession, suborning perjury, and attempting to flee. As to those pieces of evidence linking up with the others, what is your argument?
Well, Your Honor, I think Williams speaks to the fact that there's even more evidence.
He's like, why don't you tell me about some of these, consciousness of guilt arguments that we have? And then we can see exactly, how you're going to combat that.
As Williams, you had the co-conspirator testify directly that Miss Williams was involved in the planning, but she wasn't involved in the execution. All of those, the after the fact things, yes, it might be relevant to consciousness of guilt. However, it doesn't overcome the absence of evidence as to what Donna Adelson did on July 18th of 2014. That's what Williams.
But if you confess after the fact, you can look at that as that she did do something before. That's what the judge is saying. There's more than just one thing or the next, but he's doing a good enough job of, again, trying to make that argument. Welcome to everybody coming over from Recovery Addict. What's up? You guys watch the stream over there. Happy to have you.
And you are disputing that she dropped off any money to Charles Adelson on that date as payment to the trigger down.
What I'm saying is that there's no evidence that she knew on July 18th. In the light most favorable to the state, obviously I disagree ultimately that that's what happened, but in the light most favorable to the state, which is the standard that we're applying here today, there has to be that next step that she knew what it was for. And there's no evidence.
And he says, the judge is like, well, what about, are you disputing that she paid any money? He said, even if she paid money, does she know what that money was for? That's the question. Does she know what that money was for? And if she doesn't, she's got to be not guilty, or she's got to be acquitted.
That she did. As a result, Your Honor, we're asking the court grant judgment of acquittal on counts 1 and count 3.
All right. So the judge mentions the consciousness of guilt and suborning perjury and attempting to flee and things like that multiple times. The state focuses on motive again, focuses on Donna saying it involves the two of us after the bump. They focus on the flight. They focus on the perjury. Whenever the judge gives you something like that, that's what you should do. The state repeated a bunch of evidence I didn't think they really necessarily needed to. And of course, the judge denies the defense's motion for JOA. But like I said, they had to do it, and they did about as good of a version of it as you possibly could in this scenario. But now we're going to get to the actual evidence in the case. And you guys early on in the video had a lot to say about the evidence the defense presented and what you think about it. We're going to run an ad here, and then we're going to get to the witnesses from today. School is officially back in session, and for me and my family, that means earlier wake-up times, which makes sleep all the more important. And that's where today's sponsor, Dream, comes in. Whether it's earlier bedtime or just better hours of sleep, you got to make sure you get the sleep you need. And Dream helps you fall asleep and stay asleep. And I absolutely love it, but I'm not alone.
Beam has been such a game changer for me. I can't tell you how much better I sleep every night with this. I used to wake up in the middle of the night at 2 or 3 a.m. and my mind would just start going. But since Beam, I sleep so much better. I wake up feeling truly recharged, reset, and ready to tackle the day.
John loves it, and Whitney loves it too, all in different forms, whether it's the chocolate milk that you can mix in, whether it's the capsules that me and John really like, or if it's the cherry berry iced Dream that Whitney prefers. They've got something for everybody. And guess what? Beam extended their Labor Day sale just for you. Get up to 40% off with code LYK at checkout. This is your last chance to shop the sale before it's over, so don't miss out. Sheila said it's Beam, not Dream. Beam is the overall company. Dream is the actual sleep aid. So I understand the confusion, Sheila, but I absolutely do love it. So let's hear what you guys had to say about the witnesses before we dig into them. Dana said, today was boring and full of nothing burgers. Interested in your take. Because you remember off the top, I said it's always interesting to see what the defense does if they're going to present any evidence at all, which they obviously are going to and have started to today. Bella said, I didn't get any of the defense witnesses' points. That's not a good sign for them. Eon said, I think blah was a good description. I don't think the defense could poke a hole in Swiss cheese. I'm going to wait on that one. Peter, you are awesome, but the defense wasted a Tuesday, in my opinion. Defense turned key witnesses into prosecutions. There was more. I can't find. I thought there was more up here. But basically, the gist from you guys is today sucked. The defense did not get any points across. The defense did not do a good job making a point and driving it home. The defense did not do a good job of poking holes in the state's case. They did not do a good job of presenting evidence that would make the state not be able to hold their burden of beyond a reasonable doubt. That's problematic. Nikki said, gotta know, do you think her team is bad / not prepared, or is the case against her way too strong? Surprised when her resources, this is the representation. So let's remember, this was not her first choice. This was not even her second choice. This is her third set of lawyers-ish, because Dan Rashbaum was first. Then the people that were co-counsel with Rashbaum were kind of going to be second. And then it was this team. They had not nearly as much time as the state has. The state has tried this case 4 times. The judge knows this case in and out and kind of knows how he's going to go with this. So it is a very difficult case. The state is a very strong case. I don't think they suck. I don't think they've done an amazing job for her either, though. I personally think Mr. Zellman is better than Ms. Fulford. The male attorney, I think, is better than the female attorney on the defense team, me personally. But it is a very, very difficult case. Caitlin said, not on topic. I've got to know, what's your go-to hype song for getting ready for trial? So this changes all the time. I like to, a lot of times, like the beginning of the day, I like to listen to like worship music and be calm, cool, collected as I go in. I don't listen to like a hype song like that. Sometimes at the end of the day, I'll listen to hype songs that are like, kind of rock, like, or even like Bittersweet Symphony that has like the build up to it. Cause I'm like, okay, that was good. We're coming down. We got more work to do tomorrow. So it's kind of different depending on the time of day. Sleuthy said, if she pays the night of the M for the M, does that mean she's a principal? What about having Dan's license plate number in her planner? So if you want me to go into all the evidence that I think exists that she did know what was going on before, I can. This would be some of it. Washing the money to make sure they don't know, making sure she's not going to get connected to anybody, bringing the money to Charlie's house to make sure he has enough to pay them, giving the license plate number, making sure everybody knew where they were supposed to go, immediately knowing on the bump that it was what she and Charlie did, the two of them, fleeing the country once Charlie gets convicted when the jury did not buy his, double extortion scheme, telling somebody to lie to you for you if that happened, admitting that you did it to somebody if that happened or that it went too far. I think there is a lot of innuendo and code language and the TV and setting up the TV repairman to be at Wendy's house so Wendy has an alibi. All of those things, I think if the jury believes them, shows that in our evidence that she did know before the fact. She definitely had a motive before the fact. She definitely had a motive for the timing with the grandma motion, if you believe that, right? If you're a juror, I think a reasonable juror could easily find that she was a principal and knew and participated in this crime. Ken O, when I think she's guilty of conspiracy, which if I'm not mistaken, opens her up to the M charge, but solicitation seems like a non-starter. Charlie, Katie, sure, but Donna, am I off on this? It just depends. It depends. Do you think that she talked to Charlie and she was like, we need to get this done for Wendy. If you know somebody, get it done. I'll help you pay for it. If she was planning on paying for it and dropped the money off and knew exactly what happened, I think she's in on the solicitation too. But if you don't believe that she is, then that's your prerogative. Netwoman, I am confused. What's up, Netwoman? I feel like it's been a while. Charlie asked Katie about getting a hit October 31st, but they didn't attempt until June and July, more than 7 months later. So again, Netwoman, I'm sure you're in the same boat as me. I don't necessarily know how long it takes to put something like this together or get somebody that might be interested in doing a deed like this for you. But some planning had to occur. They were doing it with Dan Markel's travel schedule. If you believe they were trying to set up Jeff Lacasse, maybe they were doing it with his schedule as well. They were trying to get somebody to do it. Once they got somebody to do it, make the plan to go up there. 7 months does not seem amazingly long for me, but maybe a jury will be like, no way, that doesn't make sense in the timeline. Maybe. The judge should just listen to the argument and give his analysis when denying it. He is shooting fish in a barrel. 31-17, my boy Tommy C. Tommy Castellanos. Somebody else said, Peter, I love that shirt. Yes, this is a rowback Florida State shirt. It's got a bunch of little Doak Campbell stadiums on it because obviously I'm very excited about how this weekend went college football wise. Netwoman said, also, does Florida not do redirect? So sometimes they do. If you notice with one witness, they did because the state asked if they could ask one more question on recross and the judge gave the other side the opportunity on redirect. This is a judge specific thing. Some Florida courtrooms absolutely allow it. Sometimes allow it too much. So the lawyers usually have to see how far they can push with the judge. Like, judge, just brief recross, a brief redirect, brief redirect, right? It all depends. In summary, Your Honor, if she didn't know the money was for a hit, you must acquit. We'll see if that's what they use on the jury. Stacy said, smoke and mirrors to waste time. Jesse said, making checks to Katie. Sure. Paying Katie was definitely a big part of all this. Jay said, Peter, I'm glad you're bringing us back to reality with how precarious it is for the defense to put on a case. I think we're spoiled of seeing explosive court actions. It's not a TV show. I love to nerd out on law. Yeah, I mean, it's way more common, I will just tell you, for the defense to have little to no case than so many of the trials we've watched together. Like, for the defense to have more than 1 day of a case is abnormal. And I'm not so sure how much longer than 1 day the defense will have, but I'm going to save that for the end of the video to tell you why I think. The judge was definitely frustrated with how today went. There were multiple things that happened that frustrated him. We're going to talk about a few of them. But let's get to these witnesses, right? We keep saying we're going to get to the witnesses. I do want to actually talk about the witnesses here. First was Ann Cunningham. This is, Donna Adelson's potentially her best friend from Naples/New Jersey. Her life partner hurt his tooth. reconnected with Harvey. They knew each other from high school or something, went and got his tooth fixed. They became great friends. Here is something that you just can't do as a lawyer. And it sucks. And it wasn't intentional. But Miss Fulford, the female defense attorney, said something like, the court reporter is going to shoot me if we speak over each other. Think about what happened to Dan Markel, the victim in this case. Danny, as the defense calls him Danny. Think about what happened to him. Somebody who nobody's really said many bad things about in this trial because the defense has been, on the side that he was a great guy and it's a tragedy what happened. For you to say something like that to this jury, knowing what this case is about, could absolutely trigger jurors and say, that was inappropriate, that was insensitive, that was horrible. How could you do something like that? And you could, I'll just tell you right now, I've talked to jurors where they said, this guy said that, or this lawyer said that, or even you said that and almost lost the whole jury, or you lost the whole jury when you said that. You had to bring them back with other things you did. To me, that slip of the tongue was a pretty big mistake if the jurors picked up on it and did hear it. Not great. Then they started getting into Donna's character. It was objected to, and then it was allowed. And certain character traits you can get into if it's part of the crime and that, she's not a mastermind and really wanted to hurt Danny and she was a nice person, a good person. Some judges give leeway. There was a sidebar argument. I would have liked to hear that one, but we didn't get to hear exactly why the judge ended up letting her say how great Donna was, a great Jewish, mother and grandmother, exactly what you would expect. The state picks up on that later. Then with about every witness, they talked about WhatsApp and Fiverr or something, which you use to talk overseas, et cetera, to try and make it seem like not a big deal, number one, but also to talk about why some of these calls are not in the call detail records that they talked about. Then this was something I thought was important, okay? I thought it was important that we heard from some witnesses because if there's any juror that is picking up what the defense is putting down and that wants to rule in favor of the defense, or like Alan is like, I'm only more likely than not, give me something that helps me see what was Donna Adelson actually acting like. And they got some of these witnesses to say Donna Adelson was distraught. She was sad when Dan Markel died. She called me, told me she was hysterical because we haven't heard that now. It's kind of cold-hearted, what at this point. But we finally got to hear some witnesses say that. So let's kind of hear how her best friend describes how Donna was acting after Dan Markel passed.
Thank you, Judge. Before we talk about what she might have said to you, at the time that you spoke to Mrs. Adelson, was it the day that Danny was murdered?
When he was shot, yes.
Okay. And yeah, I use murdered because obviously he didn't pass away until the next day, but
You do not need to have that quibble either. It's like, just let her say shot and move on. Ask the actual question because that's what you want.
Yes.
he was shot and barely surviving on the 18th. So that's when I refer to that. That's why I say that
Yes.
day. Okay. So when you spoke to her, did she call you or did you call her? Do you recall?
She called me.
Okay. And when she called you, did she appear to be upset?
Very.
Was she crying?
Yes.
Was her tone of voice, based on your knowledge of her for the 15 years, did she seem to be upset?
Very.
Okay. Did she seem to be at a point in time where she had just learned what had occurred?
Yes.
Did she indicate to you whether she had just learned that this had happened?
Yes.
Okay.
She did.
I'm sorry?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And during the course of your discussion with her about what had transpired, did she continue with this state of mind that she was upset?
Yes.
Okay. And while she was upset, what did she indicate to you?
She told me that Danny had been shot and that they were going to Tallahassee and that she was very concerned and worried about Wendy and the boys, whether they were in danger.
Okay.
Because she did not know who had shot him.
Okay. And did she indicate whether she was concerned about Danny and him being in the hospital?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did she indicate whether she had plans to go to see him at the hospital?
I don't recall.
Okay. During the time that you had this conversation with her, was this the only time that you spoke to her that evening?
I believe so. Maybe one more time.
Okay. And is it your understanding from later discussions with her that she and her husband Harvey actually did come to Tallahassee?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to speak with her later on while she was in Tallahassee?
Yes.
Okay. And did she provide any information to you about a memorial service that took place?
Yes.
Okay. And
All right. So she talked about how distraught she was. I question whether Donna actually called her. I saw some other people thinking or saying that, I don't believe Ann. She's not trustworthy. She's acting. She's putting on. Well, I think a lot of you guys are picking up what the state's putting down because this is exactly the arguments the state was making on cross. Why didn't it come up in the call detail records? They actually bring this witness back to talk about something that I'll hold, and we'll play that clip, which I thought was very interesting, with some of you guys are already saying in the chat. But did you believe her? Did you find her believable? Because the defense made it clear that she was Donna Adelson's friend and loved Donna Adelson, let Donna Adelson stay in her house during Charlie's during Charlie's funeral, excuse me, in Naples, so they didn't have to stay at their own house. Her life partner, who's also friends with Donna and Harvey, comes and testifies right after her. So tell me what you guys think of this witness. Did you find her believable and helpful at all to the defense? Lori said, be glad it will be a quick recap as the defense showed nothing today. So it's really funny. This is not good, right? If you're the defense and you're putting up all these witnesses, you don't want the jury to feel like you're wasting their time and proving nothing. That's not good. That's not good. Oh, this is a good point. Anne was following her script. So that's also why the state can build that up. And then it's like, did that sound a little too perfect to you, members of the jury? You think Donna maybe hand wrote what she wanted her best friend to say? As far as the license plate number goes, we don't know how long she had that number in her planner. In Florida, you keep the same tag forever. She may have had it for entry to some place that they lived. It's very possible. Very possible. There's a number of reasons why she could have that. One of them could be nefarious. Barry, Jackie is me with model trains. I'm an accountant playing with art and electricity. I keep it as a hobby, but don't charge others for me being a jack of some trades, master of none. But Donna paid in. Stevie G, not a fan of her cross. Was way too evasive after being so forthcoming on direct, especially the few times she read documents and wouldn't say what it said. I agree with you, and that's the beauty of cross-examination. You get to see, are these witnesses telling the truth or are they not? I think a lot of what she said was the truth, but I also think she's viewing Donna Adelson and her actions in rose-colored glasses. And that's the importance of knowing she's her best friend, so close, willing to come testify for her. That's a big deal. Willing to let her stay in the house. All of those things I think are really, really important. But let's listen to hear the end of her direct examination and how the defense wanted to finish off with her as a witness.
Everyone can be seated. The objection is sustained. You may continue with your examination of this witness. That's any other matters.
Thank you. Mrs. Cunningham, we were talking about the fact that you were speaking to Mrs. Adelson after the verdict came out about her son being convicted, correct?
Yes,
Was she upset about that?
yes,
Was she crying?
yes,
Was she, did she appear to be distraught about the circumstances?
yes.
Was her actions and her words to you when she was discussing this with you, was she in a calm state or an excited state?
It's very excited.
Okay. And during the course of her conversation with you in that state, did it become to your attention that Mrs. Adelson was considering an option about her life because all of this had just happened?
Yes,
Okay. And what was that?
she was considering taking her own life.
And if you know, and if you don't, just say you don't, but if you know from those same conversations with her in that state of mind that she had, did she ever discuss with you a potential plan to just get away to clear her head?
Yes,
Okay.
And a bunch of the witnesses today, you want to know how bad the flight evidence is? Like, it feels like more than half the defense's case and their cross-examination questions and what they put forward is to try and attack the flight to Vietnam, which Donna Adelson Googled non-extradition countries, and Vietnam was one. Okay, so that's it for the direct. We're going to jump to the cross. She and her life partner both seem very coached. I actually felt like her life partner was better than her and stronger than her. And I think that showed in Georgia Kappelman's cross. It was a much shorter and much less effective cross, but I do want to hear her cross of this witness because I think it was very effective, which to me is proved by the comments all you guys are making about how you feel about this witness. I think this is because of none other than this prosecutor come and doing what lawyers are supposed to do on cross.
Are you familiar with the defendant's statement that she could be buried in the bar mitzvah dress that she bought?
no, I'm not.
Because if she was going to be buried in that dress, she probably wasn't, at least at the time she made that statement, going to be making it to the bar mitzvah. Would you agree?
No, she was always going to be making it to the bar mitzvah, as far as I knew.
Even if she was dead and buried, she was going to make it.
I never heard that.
Okay. Was she suicidal when you spoke with her after Charlie's verdict?
Yes,
You were best friends with her.
yes,
Okay. And she would call and vent to you about Danny Markel.
Sometimes.
All right. And did she
Admitting they're best friends is important. And we're going to get to the life partner's testimony. And he helped the prosecutor out a little bit on cross where she wasn't even necessarily going somewhere. And he said something that I would absolutely, I love doing this. I would highlight, I would pull that quote up. When I put his face up on the PowerPoint and I talk about his testimony, this quote would be right under his face. So hold till we get to that.
ever call him names?
Not to my knowledge, not to me.
Did she share with you that she was planning to offer a bribe?
We knew that she called Dan Markel names because we've seen the names she's called her. And this witness said, well, not to me, not to my knowledge. It's like, well, then you must not know what's really going on with Donna Adelson, right? And that's what you got to do as a prosecutor.
Names.
Not to my knowledge, not to me.
Did she share with you that she was planning to offer a bribe to Mr. Markel to facilitate relocation?
I don't recall.
Did she talk to you about plans to threaten or to convert the children to Christianity in order to strong arm Mr. Markel?
She mentioned that she had said that, and she said that was so foolish of me.
When did she say that?
I don't know whether we were together or on a phone call. I'm not sure.
Did she ever tell you that she was being extorted in reference to Mr. Markel's murder?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. And when you say eventually, when did she tell you that?
We were on a trip to Japan together.
Okay. When was the trip to Japan?
We took so many trips. I'm not exactly sure of the year.
Was it between the murder and the first arrests?
I don't recall.
So she's trying to get in that Donna Adelson even told her she was being extorted. On redirect, they come back and it's like, you mean that Charlie was extorted, not Donna? Yes. But again, she's like, I don't remember exactly when. And, I'm not sure. It definitely happened. I just can't tell you when.
And when she told you,
I actually don't think she was that bad on direct. Okay. I don't think she was that bad on direct. I thought this cross was really, really well done. And you saw how you can really attack somebody's credibility. And this is good lawyering, in my opinion.
that she was being extorted, then naturally you learned that she knew who had killed Dan Markel.
No,
Obviously, it's the people that are extorting her, right?
she didn't know what. Are you talking about? Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
She was forced to make payments to the people that killed
Yes,
Dan Markel.
yes.
That's what the checks were all about, right?
I don't know about the checks.
Well, when she told you she was being extorted, if it wasn't about the checks, how was she being extorted?
She was. I'm confusing that with the bump. I believe that Charlie was being extorted by Catherine.
Prior to the bump, you knew that Charlie was being extorted by Catherine.
No, I believe it was afterwards.
After the bump, you learned that Charlie was being extorted by Catherine.
I'm not sure of the timeline.
And when you learned that Charlie was being extorted by Catherine, you learned that your friend, your best friend, Donna Adelson, was also being forced to write these checks as payment to the killers that were extorting.
I don't recall.
And when the phone call was made to you, you were saying, I guess it was the night of the verdict, you got the phone call and she was very upset and suicidal and so forth. What was your phone number at that time?
I believe my cell number,
Okay, what's your cell number? Just give me the last four digits. If you want to.
1655.
And did you watch the trial of Charlie Adelson?
At the very end.
Okay, and during the trial of Charlie Adelson, were you in regular communication with your best friend, Donna Adelson?
Yes, but we didn't really
With your best friend, Donna Adelson. That's a smart way to ask the question.
discuss the trial.
Well, would it refresh your recollection to review your text messages during the trial?
I guess it's a long time ago.
An approach.
This part I do recall.
Friend during the trial of her son.
Yes.
Okay, and she was watching the trial of her son, as we learned, at your residence, right?
Yes,
Okay, and when Charlie Adelson was convicted, you disagreed with the verdict, right?
yes,
You think the jury got it wrong, didn't you?
yes.
And that was out of loyalty to your friend, right?
No, I thought they got it wrong.
They got it wrong. Okay,
How about that? You think the jury got it wrong? I mean, that could be good for the defense, right? If the jury's with the defense. It could be bad for the defense if the jury's like, that's disrespectful. We're the jury. You don't like the jury? You think the jury got it wrong? How people look and think about things and how they put themselves in certain situations. I have heard things that blow my mind that the jurors are like, I can't believe they said or thought that way. We were so offended. I think it's possible that's how they feel here. Or it's possible that they say, hey, maybe that jury got it wrong about Charlie. We don't want to get it wrong about Donna. Maybe it's going to do that. Sleuthy said, but you only watch the end. That's a good point. It's a good point. It's like you watch the end and you know they got it wrong. How do you know?
And you, in fact, said to Mrs. Adelson, I know you are all innocent, all caps, all, right?
Yes,
Meaning Charlie's innocent,
yes,
Wendy's innocent.
definitely.
No Adelson
Charlie's innocent. Yes. Wendy's innocent. Definitely. Is there a difference between Charlie and Wendy then?
had anything to do with the murder of Dan Markel. Isn't that what you think?
Yes,
And when she went to Vietnam, or was trying to go to Vietnam to clear her head, she was going to clear her head in a non-extradition country. Can you agree with that?
I wasn't aware it was non-extradition.
Okay. She was going to clear her head with a one-way ticket to go do the head clearing.
She had no idea how long they were staying or where they would go.
Are you familiar with her statement that she's hoping to make it out of the airport on time?
Yes.
Hoping to make it out before what?
No, she meant the plane was on time.
No, ma'am. I'm referring to hoping to make it out before law enforcement apprehended her. You aware of that?
No,
She didn't say that statement to you.
I don't recall really.
Okay. Do you remember Mrs. Adelson texting you after the verdict and complaining that Wendy had not even called?
No, I don't.
Would it refresh your recollection to review that message?
Fine. I remember her describing Harvey being on the floor and crying like a baby.
Harvey's on the floor crying like a baby, and Wendy hasn't even called, right? Is
If
that
she
what
wrote
it
that.
says? If she wrote that, didn't you just see where she wrote that?
I did. She wrote that.
It's pretty good cross, right? It's pretty good cross. Casey said, if Donna is exonerated, does that automatically implicate Wendy? No, absolutely not. Frankly, I think it'd be even harder for them to get Wendy if they don't get Donna. Elizabeth said, will Georgia make a rebuttal? So we don't know the answer to that yet because we don't know all the evidence the defense is going to present. So we have to wait. If the defense rested today, I would not make a rebuttal argument if I was the state. So they better present something that makes the state do a rebuttal. We'll see. I think they have some witnesses planned and they're ready if they have to, but it's not a lock. You don't have to. Don't do too much, right? Do less, as people say. Do what you need to do to make it clear for the jury. Don't confuse them. Joanne, Peter, been in California over a week. Finally got alive. Miss all the commentaries. Joanne, welcome. What's the weather like? It's always just beautiful over there, isn't it? Beautiful. Ruth said, Peter, I've watched you since Chauvin trial in my first year at uni. I just graduated after 6 whole years of uni. I just realized I watched Lawyer You Know throughout my whole academic period. That's insane. That's insane. It's crazy. Spicy. Peter, did I miss the poll after the state rested? It had to be much lower guilty percentage than Charlie. I don't think we did one right after the state rested. We will do one after the defense rests, hopefully before closings or before we get a verdict. We'll do some at that point. The word foolish sounds familiar from the script, LOL. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how much is common and if the state's going to point that out. All right, let's jump over to the life partner here. Again, high school friend, reconnected. Donna and Harvey were extremely upset. They were pestered by bloggers and reporters. That's why they stayed at this guy's house. It was in a gated community. Somebody said, talk about bragging about money. I did kind of feel like a little cringy when a couple of these witnesses were talking about like, I've been to 75 different countries. Yes, we let them stay in our Naples house because it's very nice in a gated community. And I just wonder, I always wonder, I'm sensitive to that when I'm in front of a jury. Like, did the jury like that? Did they not? But overall, I thought this guy was much better than the female life partner. But I thought Georgia got a little lucky on cross because I think it was a very short cross. I don't think she wanted to push or do too much on cross with this guy. I think he was a pretty strong witness, again, stronger than his life partner. But let's listen to some stuff that came out in cross that, again, a quote I would put up in my closing argument came up in this cross.
Cross-exam.
You said that under normal circumstances, they were going to make every effort to return to attend that bar mitzvah, right?
Yes,
Obviously, normal circumstances would not include a warrant being issued for their arrest for first-degree murder. That would be an abnormal
I
circumstance.
am not aware of that.
But you would agree that would be an abnormal circumstance that might
Yes.
prevent them
And
from
by the
coming
same
back.
token, at the time, there was no warrant out for her arrest when they left.
Right, right. But might cause them to not come back, wouldn't it?
And then they said something about, maybe it was another witness that said, like, the lawyer said they could travel.
Once again,
It might cause them to not
it
come back.
might. You'd have to think twice.
Sure. And
He's like, you'd have to think twice. That's good. It's like, I don't know, a warrant comes out. Maybe you don't come back.
when the verdict came down on Charlie Adelson's case, do you recall Mrs. Adelson reaching out to the two of you saying maybe she might want you to come to where she was. Do you remember that?
To Vietnam?
No, sir. She wasn't in Vietnam. I don't know exactly where she was, but she
You mean in
says,
Florida, in the state of Florida?
yes, sir. Can't say exactly why, but we may need you guys to come here. Remember that?
Yeah, for moral support.
Okay. And where were you located at the time that those text messages were sent? Were you in New
To the
York?
best of my knowledge, in New Jersey.
In New Jersey. Okay. And she says that Wendy's not responding to them, so she has some issues she may need your help with. Do you remember that?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
And those were the issues regarding your assistance with managing the rental properties?
No, just overall moral support.
Okay, well, she says specifically Ron may have some work to do here. What is that reference? Is that the moral support?
That and helping with Jared, but I was never spoken to by Donna about this matter. This was between Harvey and myself.
Okay, but you understood that you may be needed to come down.
My
to Florida to do
services may
some
be
help.
needed as a friend to assist.
Right. And you were happy to do that, right?
That's what friends are for.
In fact, the response.
And you were happy to do that. And the prosecutor like kept going. And what does he say? That's what friends are for. And Hannah put it up here as a quote. This is a quote under these two witnesses. These two witnesses probably only need one slide, but it's like, hey, these people came and said, Donna and Harvey, no way they were fleeing. No way they were going to come back. They were so distraught. They were great people, typical, amazing Jewish mom and grandma. Why do you think these people came and took the stands for Donna and said all this stuff that is totally contradicted by all the evidence we presented as the state? Because members of the jury, that's what friends are for. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd even play the clip if I could get it, if the judge would let me. That's what friends are for.
Says whenever, whatever you need, we're there.
Words to that effect, yes.
Whatever, whenever you need it, we are there. We are there, including at trial, to say whatever it is Donna puts on the script. Okay, then we get the digital forensic expert. I thought she was good. Basically, she said there are less calls than it looks like, which we already kind of knew from some of the defense's cross. How big of a deal is that? I don't know, but I think it's good to say it wasn't like 1 million calls. It was 500,000 or whatever it is. But then we get to the fact that the tower that's closest to Charlie's house, Donna's handset or headset never connected to that tower, and Charlie and Donna's cell phones never connected to the same tower, to cast some doubt on whether or not Donna Adelson ever actually went to Charlie Adelson's house, whether or not she ever gave him money, whether or not they ever met that day. And I think that's important, because if you can poke holes in that, you can, sprinkle reasonable doubt on that. Maybe you get some not guilties. Maybe you make some of those arguments he made on JOA. But then Cross, I thought, was really good too. Do you disagree with any of Corbett's points? No. There's no location data for a text, right? So I'm outside your house says I'm outside your house. There's no location data that says she actually is outside his house or that she's not outside his house. Yes. Something like, is it a big deal that it's 69 calls instead of 80 calls? Probably not that big of a deal. Then, for the first time in this case, we get a little, you paid for this expert, right? $300 an hour. Okay. Just travel alone is 10 grand because it's a 10-hour minimum at $300 an hour. I don't know. Do you guys care about that? Do you care about how much money this forensic expert made? Because some people in other cases have been like, I don't care at all. It doesn't bother me at all. People should get paid for their work. Sometimes when they hate the defendant, like they do in this case, people are like, oh, that's so horrible that she was paid for. I really think a lot of people's perceptions when they look at this case or at these cases is if they like the plaintiff, if they like the prosecution, if they like the defendant, that's how they look at it, and that's how they judge most things. And if they hate the prosecutor, they're going to judge everything negatively. If they hate the defendant, they're going to judge everything negatively about the defendant, the lawyer, the witnesses, things like that. That's commonly what happens in these chats. And I'll tell you, some people can get frustrated by that, and I get it, but juries are often like that. Once they're with a side, they are with that side until the end. It's very common for them to look at everything like, oh, no big deal if they like the side. And if they don't like the side and it's just nitpicking, they're like, ooh, that could be a really big deal. It really, really seems to go that way. Music to my soul. Is the defense drawing too much attention to the Vietnam trip? It only goes to consciousness of guilt, not the substance of the charges, right? Consciousness of guilt is one of the best things you can have in a case, though. And what I say is, sure, they've got to walk a fine line of how much to talk about it, how much not to, but that tells you how important it is that these experienced defense lawyers are like, we've got to attack that flight to Vietnam because it looks so bad. Gabby, being a witness in favor of DA is not necessarily flattering, so I don't believe they would want to take the stand and flat out lie. Maybe I'm naive. I think that's a totally appropriate thought. Totally appropriate way to look at this. Ken O. With regard to the similar language across witnesses, if you're around them quite a bit, and you're positively disposed to them, you adopt some of their vocabulary, not a smoking gun for me. Not anywhere near a smoking gun for me, Ken. And if they didn't have the written script, I don't think the state could do much with it either. But if it matches that written script, I would put that up on the screen in closing as well. Jen, defense grasping at straws. Charlie's attorneys equal prepared / professional. Unbelievable. Donna's attorneys, their first trial, still unbelievable. I don't think it's their first trial. I know it's not their first trial. Experts are paid from both sides. The state and the defense does not affect my view on what they said. Good. I think that's good. I think it's good to apply it fairly across the board. I think it's strange to bring the friends in like this when the defense is trying to paint Donna as a regular person. I get they're saying they travel a lot, but dozens of countries is not typical. Listen, they don't have a lot to choose from. The friends are who they are. It's not like they can say, hey, no average Joe, come here and testify as Donna's friend, right? So they've got to look at what they can. Okay, next, they bring Cunningham back because it's like, did Donna actually call you? Because it's not on the call detail records. And the prosecution gets across her again, and here's what the prosecutor said.
On July 20th, just 2 days after the murder. Do you recall that?
If you say so.
Okay, and July 21st.
The objection?
Yeah, the witness is not being shown the evidence that she's being confronted with.
I believe she is not
Doesn't
asked,
to.
or she is not asked to recall, or let me clear this up. Ms. Cunningham, do you need to see the items that the state is referring to refresh your recollection?
Do I?
Would
Is
you
it-
like
if
to see
I
them?
spoke with her, I spoke with her.
Okay, so you have no reason to contest that you spoke with her via regular phone call, June 23rd, July 20th, and July 21st.
If it's in the record, yes.
But you're saying it was a WhatsApp or a Viber on the 18th.
Yes, they were in the car, and they often called on those apps in the car.
Would it surprise you to learn that WhatsApp didn't offer voice calls until March of 2015?
Then it was on Viber.
Must have been.
Yikes. It's like they didn't even offer voice calls, which it could have been. It could have been on Fiverr. But if it wasn't, it's a pretty good moment for the state. And she's just like, oh, then it must have been on Fiverr, which is very plausible. It's like, oh, then it's on Fiverr. That's easy. Thanks for clearing that up. Or it could make her look like she's lying. It all depends on how the jury looks at it.
WhatsApp didn't offer voice calls until March of 2015.
Then it was on Viber.
Must have been Viber, huh? Nothing further.
Must have been Fiverr, huh? The next witness was Richard Shagran. He knew the Adelsons through Gourmet Club, where they would have these gourmet meals and dinners together. I put rich people stuff under that. I've literally never heard of that. His wife is an attorney who did their estate planning. Donna was, again, distraught after, Charlie was convicted, and she's a great Jewish grandma and mom. And we're going to listen to kind of the back end of his direct.
Okay. And when you got there, can you describe Donna for us?
She was distraught.
And what about Harvey?
Harley was like in shock.
Now, prior to this, you indicated that you had traveled with my client and her husband. Did you travel extensively on your own?
Well, we went on cruises, and then we did there was 13 of us did 2 weeks in Israel.
Were you somewhat savvier than they when it comes to booking travel?
Oh yeah, I've been to 75 countries around the world.
Okay. And were you asked to assist them in any way on November 7th of 2023?
Yes.
And specifically, what were you asked to do?
Initially, I helped Donna with the visa, and then when we were done applying for the visa, Donna took Susan to show her the dress that she bought for Lincoln's bar mitzvah, and then she asked Harvey to sit down with me and make plane reservations.
Okay. When you sat down to assist with the reservations, what did you discover?
The ironic thing was that the round trip was a fraction more than one way, and I suggested, since you don't know when you're coming back until sometime in January, book a one-way. And
It's true. That does happen sometimes where one-way tickets are cheaper. So they have this guy come and take the stand and swear under oath to tell the truth and says, I'm the one who suggested they buy a one-way ticket. Honestly, sir, if that's actually true, they should be very pissed off at you because it would have been worth the extra money to get a round-trip ticket, and they would not have this argument of conscience of guilt. They could have still been arrested at the airport. They could still try to argue it, but it would be a much better argument to be like, we had a ticket coming back a month later because we were going to come back for the bar mitzvah. So if it really was this guy's suggestion, sucks for them that they took his advice, but he's willing to come say it, right? Like, I believe him. He's taking the stand. He's saying it. Like, what is he really going to come lie for them and commit perjury for them? Do you guys really believe that? I mean, I don't know.
I remember commenting to Harvey, I said, I'd be willing to bet it's cheaper to fly from Vietnam to the United States than it is from the United States to Vietnam.
Now, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about the visa. Were there options that were given when selecting which visa to apply for?
To my recollection, there was only two options, a 30-day or a 90-day.
Do you know why the 90-day was selected?
This guy's like an international travel expert, right?
Well, I said they didn't know how long they were going to be gone.
And do you remember if the visa that was applied for only allowed them to come into the country once, or did it allow them to come into the country multiple times?
I'm not aware.
Now, you indicated that they were coming back for their grandson's bar mitzvah.
Yes.
Why, if you know, why were they wanting to get out of town?
Well, unfortunately, they were barraged by the media. Unfortunately, live in a condo, so they didn't let them in. And they were afraid to leave the building.
To your knowledge, had the Adelsons been to Vietnam in the past?
Yes.
And they found it to be relaxing?
To my knowledge, I was there. I thought it was a great country, great people, great food.
Now, although you are the one that suggested the one-way ticket, who booked the flight?
Harvey.
To your knowledge, were they free to travel?
They told us when we got there that their attorney said that they had no restrictions in traveling.
So they were obviously talking about like what they could do, what they couldn't do, what the lawyer was saying, because he said that they talked about the attorney said they could travel, but nobody decided to say like maybe a one-way ticket's not a good idea. By the way, if you're here, we're just over the 1 hour mark. We're getting close. We probably have another 10 or 15 minutes left of overtime. Hit that like button if you guys are enjoying it. If you guys are learning something, if you've got a question, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to our channel.
Can you describe the type of mother and grandmother that you observed Donna to be?
Well, Donna was the ultimate Jewish mother, not unlike my wife, that was very involved in their children and grandchildren's lives. I think Donna maybe was a little more involved in her grandchildren because of the situation of grandsons losing their father, Wendy working, and also they live close by, Donna and Harvey in South Beach.
So, am I hearing you correctly? You would describe Donna as a typical Jewish grandmother?
More than typical.
And a typical Jewish mother?
Yes.
And then Georgia, I think, started her cross with, does a typical Jewish mother dress her grandkids up in the Nazi uniforms? It's like, no, I would think not. It's like, yeah, probably not. Becky, Peter, please look into the Raja Jackson incident. Okay, I have not seen anything on this. Hi, Brian. How are you? Netwoman, Peter, be honest. What was your reaction watching the pod video without sound? Did you fast forward? I watched it on like 3 times speed, but I did actually watch it because I wanted to see what it showed. Not surprising at all to me, right? They sit down, they talk, they're both writing. The problem is, and I'll just do this witness now. The problem is the defense is not contesting Donna Adelson's handwriting, that she wrote what's in that book and what's on that paper that they showed to the jury. So if you're not going to argue that, then I don't know how that helps you. Because either, I mean, like, it definitely looks like maybe there was an interview or, you know, the jailhouse snitch really wanted to talk to Donna and was trying to get information out of her. And then she went and met with the state the next day. Okay. And I guess you get that. You definitely want the jurors to side-eye the jailhouse snitches. That's why you call them jailhouse snitches. Jen, as a juror, my 2 biggest quotation marks, or there's a few more signs of guilt, are washing the money and paying Catherine. Well, those are things that are specifically prescribed to Donna. So I get it. They're saying Drina told her what to write. I don't get that argument. I don't understand that argument. If it's Drina's script, then why would Drina need to tell Donna what to write to Drina? That makes literally no logical sense. No logical sense. Okay. Then we had two witnesses, Ms. Khan and Eddie, both private investigators, both talked to the jailhouse snitch witnesses. Neither of them ever said that Donna confessed. Neither of them ever said that Donna was going to promise them anything, veneers or otherwise, money, trailer, land. That was never said. They never promised it. And both crosses, the state was like, did you record these interviews? No, you didn't record them. Well, isn't that convenient? And they were both like, well, the lawyers told us not to record them, which I thought was funny. One witness said she had contemporaneous notes, which the state never requested. She could have given them to them. The other one got more into specifically that Katie confessed and Katie was the bad guy. And, Donna didn't confess to them or say that she did anything wrong. They also talked about how they were coming up on their plea deal and potentially they were going to get a deal from the state. That's what they were hoping on. So obviously they saw Donna as their get out of jail free card. That's what the defense is trying to do there. And to me, again, I think the defense did a good job of attacking the credibility of the jailhouse witnesses. Then we had a little issue in court, And this again comes with preparedness. This, is embarrassing when it happens. You never want it to happen. But this witness takes the stand. He's a realtor. And before he's even asked his first question, we have a problem.
Everyone can be seated. Ceremony agent step down from the witness stand and step outside the courtroom doors. Once the rule of sequestration is invoked, it applies equally to both parties. How long was he sitting at the back of the courtroom?
So that witness, the defense witness, was literally sitting in trial listening. I don't blame him. He's probably like, oh, I'm a witness in this high-profile trial. Let's see what's going on. Let's see the vibe. This is on the lawyers. You have to tell your witnesses you cannot be in the courtroom during this trial at all. They have multiple people there helping, like paralegals and assistants and whatever. It's like, that's great. My last trial, I had my legal assistant there. We had an associate there. We had multiple lawyers there. My other associate attorney came another day to help with boxes and move stuff, whatever. So if like a witness is sitting in the courtroom, they should be there helping with that as well. This should not happen. Now, it's bad that it happened, but it might not be material. It might not be prejudicial. It might be a complete nothing burger. It may be NBD. Let's kind of hear how it breaks down. It's the lawyer's job, the defense team, right? Lawyers, paralegals, assistants, whoever's there helping you. It's the defense team's job to coordinate these witnesses. They called 8 witnesses today. They did a good job moving through them. And I think overall that shows good progress in one of the reasons I think the judge let it end early today. But there's another big reason I think the judge let it end early today.
Watching the defense case.
I was not aware he was here, Your Honor. Our assistant was trying to find him. I went in the hallway looking for him. I didn't see him before we called the witness that he sat in here for. She said,
they're all looking for him while he's literally sitting in the courtroom. They're out in the hallway looking for the witness who's sitting in the courtroom.
Sent him a text message asking him where he was because we were concerned he was not here, and that was about 1:30. I believe, based on speaking to my assistant, that he was present during all or part of Ms. Khan's testimony, which is completely unrelated to his very limited scope in this case.
She's like, he has a very limited scope. He heard one of the private investigators who's just there to basically impeach the credibility of the jailhouse snitches. It doesn't matter. It's not material. It's not prejudicial, which is good. And we can move on with the trial, but the judge ain't happy.
What's that?
So the good old bailiffs are like, I know exactly how long he's been in here, Judge.
What is the substance of the testimony to be offered?
The substance of the testimony is a home search with Mr. and Mrs. Adelson and Dan Markel.
He's a realtor.
bailiff has informed me that he was present for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm not entirely sure how this testimony would relate to other matters that we've gone over. We need a moment to determine if the witness should be permitted to testify.
So honestly, I would have been okay with either way the judge did this because number one, I don't think it was that prejudicial, not that big of a deal, so let him testify. But number two, his testimony was so like barely probative. Like why is it such a big deal? So if you did violate the rule just to strike him as a witness, the reason the judge allows him is it's the defendant's right to a fair trial. You don't want to step on it. You don't want to create an appellate issue. That's why the judge, I think, ultimately did that. Peter, I'm watching this while reading for crim law class. Thanks for what you do. It finally pushed me to go to law school at age 48. That's awesome. Crush it. I guarantee you're taking it more seriously than most people there. And I hope you absolutely crush it. So multiple people said this, so I wanted to put it up on the screen. Haha, I used to do Gourmet Club while I was in my PhD. Definitely not rich. I guess it's not a rich. I learned something new today. I guess it's just a normal person thing. It sounded like a rich people thing to me, and I get it. And I'm not condemning that, right? I probably do things that people think are rich people things too, and other people do as well. And I probably do things that I think are not rich people think that people think are rich people things, right? So I get it. I get it. I just had never heard of that before. Thank you, Peter. You are a sweetie. Well, thank you, Allie. Thank you so much, Allie. All right. So then we get to Detective Turner. And again, this is kind of I just wanted to show a little bit of it with no sound. So Donna and Audrina, one of the jailhouse snitch witnesses, they're sitting over here. They've got paper out. They're writing. I'm just going to turn off the sound so you can kind of see how it goes. I'm going to bump it up to 3.4 times speed, just so you guys can kind of see what's going on if you wanted to see it. Thank you so much, Netwoman, for gifting 5 Lawyer You Know memberships. That's so awesome. I appreciate you guys. Let me see if there's anything else. This also gave the state the opportunity on cross to be like, so Donna wrote a script, right? It certainly looks like it. Well, it might not have been a script on redirect. They say it's like, yeah, it's just not great. If you give the state the opportunity to be like, this could easily be Donna giving this witness a script to write it down or writing it down for her, right? Yes. He was outside when called, appeared the judge or the deputies noticed. Yeah, at some point, because he said he was in there for one witness, left for another witness, then was called back in. Either way, he was not in there for anything that was going to affect his testimony. He just testified that basically he was showing Donna and Harvey houses in Tallahassee because they might want to buy a house because they're there. Speaking of rich people things, I'm just kidding. Because they're going to be there more often. And they're like, oh, they love Dan. They were going to buy a house in Tallahassee. They didn't hate Tallahassee that much. And the prosecutor was like, this was way before they got divorced, right? Way before these things were problematic, right? Spent the entire day at the courthouse for jury selection and didn't get picked, but I was ready. Sarah, that sucks. I'm glad you did your duty. I'm glad you were ready. I guarantee if you're in this chat and you're watching these trials and you're invested about learning about our legal system, that you would have been a great, fair, and unbiased juror. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that with us. One of the coolest things to ever come out of this channel is people understanding what it's like to be a juror, what the point is, how to be a good juror, and wanting to go do their civic duty. That's one of the things I'm most proud of with this entire channel. Thank you, Debbie, for the super sticker. Okay, let's get to the end of the day today. They ended early, and the judge allowed it. I was a little surprised. I was like, man, it was like 3 o'clock. We had 2 hours potentially plus left. I'm not complaining about it, but the judge let them break for the day. Why is that? Number one, maybe they got through 8 witnesses. Their next witness was not available till the next day. That's a very plausible reason. But this is also possible. Donna Adelson, I believe, is going to testify. They've said she's going to testify. They've hinted at it. They don't have to. They can change their mind at any point. Many lawyers and clients do change their minds. That wouldn't be that shocking. But the judge wasn't happy about it, but he did allow it. And it might be because Donna Adelson is their next witness. And they don't want to start her at 3 o'clock, have her go till the end of the day, come back and start over tomorrow. Additionally, this has happened to me before, and it's actually happened in my last trial. If a witness that's advanced in age, it gets to the end of the day and they're about to take the stand in the most stressful case of their life, right? And it's going to be very difficult regardless of what you think about Donna Adelson. She's not young. It's late in the day. It's been very stressful. And then you're going to put her on the stand, and she's going to have to be on the stand 2 days. If we can just start in the morning, get her done in 1 day, however long it takes, that usually is better for the witness. It's better for the case. We'll see what I don't know if the state objected to it, but that's totally fair game in my opinion. The judge allowed it. So that would be my first guess as to why we broke early today. I could be wrong, and they could squeeze. Maybe they have some short witnesses they're going to squeeze in before she goes, but they want to do Donna Adelson and not split her up into 2 days is my guess. That's my guess. Could be wrong. It's total speculation, but we've had things like that happen in our case as well. Just in the last trial, we broke early one day so that our client could take the stand first thing in the morning when she's fresh and ready, and she did an excellent job, and it was well worth it. We will see how Donna does, right? All right. That's all we got. You guys are the best. I appreciate you so much for being here. You could be anywhere in the world. You could be watching any YouTube channel you want. You're here hanging out with me, giving me the comments and the questions that make this educational, entertaining, fun, us learning and growing as people, giving people grace, and hopefully enjoying our time together. I'm so pumped about FSU. Thank you to everybody that stuck with me through my rant on Twitter about FSU. Peter, are you going to court to watch if Donna testifies? So I'm not going to drive up there and watch her testify tomorrow. I am planning on being in court Friday. I thought there was no way this case ended before Friday. Now it looks like there's a very real chance that it ends before Friday, which would be a major bummer, and the same exact thing that happened in Sarah Boone. If it's still going, I will be there in court Friday in some form or fashion for some period of time. But I don't know if it's going to be going that long. So we will have to wait and see. My schedule does not allow for me to be up there tomorrow or Thursday. So we'll see how it all goes. Jude C. and everybody else that joined the membership crew, thank you and welcome. But for now, that's all I got. Till next time, I am out of here. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. And if you have a case that you want to personally talk to us about in your life, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, truck accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, The Lawyer You Know.